Good morning on Healthy Are You today. We are talking about the Daniel fast diet. Let's open up with the medical disclaimer. Always check with your physician before starting any exercise or dietary program. Information here is my personal research into different health topics and is not to be considered medical advice. So what is the Daniel fast diet? Now, some of these, and is it healthy? Some of these people that follow this also consider it mostly a vegetarian diet. But it's not really vegetarian, so let's get into it. For many people, the foods they eat are largely rooted in their culture and religious beliefs. One eating style with religious roots is the Daniel fast diet, a 21-day partial fast based on a story in the book of Daniel. Whether you're spiritual or not, many people say this diet helps with weight loss, promotes energy, and leaves them feeling great. And there are celebrities that have done this, like Chris Pratt, that kind of thing, and several other people do. I do know that several churches do this probably a couple times a year, but they also do a lot of praying with it as well. So there are a lot of things that go into this if you are looking at it from a religious aspect. So here's everything you need to know about the Daniel fast diet, including the benefits, downsides, and the foods that are included. What is the Daniel fast diet? Known as the Daniel fast or Daniel diet, this diet is based on a biblical story in the book of Daniel. In the story, Daniel is an Old Testament prophet who is placed under King Nebuchadnezzar's rule at a young age. And most likely they were eunuchs. You have there are several other stories in Daniel that you would recognize, But under this, there were three young men that their names were changed. They had asked in their king's service, once they had gone through the education, to change their culture. So they were no longer Judaic in their Jerusalem Judaic Jews. They want to change the culture. King Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, had taken this young man, and he was supposedly of royalty, had taken him, and because he was a beautiful young man, and a couple of other guys with him, friends, they put him into a training situation where they taught them all kinds of things about the Babylonian culture. So anyway, in the book Daniel 1, 12 to 16, there are 5 verses that describe the diet. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat the portion of the king's meat. As thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to let them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. At the end of 10 days their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Then Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. Dedicated to his belief in God, Daniel rejects the rich, indulgent foods offered by the king, such as meats, dairy, wine, and other delicacies. Instead, Daniel and his friends choose to consume foods they believe God intends for consumption for 10 days. This diet includes fruit, vegetables, pulses, which are beans, whole grains, and water. In particular, the diet is heavily based on pulses, which are used as a primary source of protein. At the end of 10 days, Daniel and his friends are stronger and healthier, both mentally and physically, than everyone around them. Thus, the diet is encouraged for others. Daniel uses this short-term diet to demonstrate his faith and fortitude. Many people now use it as a temporary short-term fast or detox for modern food and lifestyle. Some use it to get closer to a higher power as a form of sacrifice, similar to other religious practices such as Lent or Ramadan. Foods to eat and avoid. Though variations of the Daniel fast exist, most people follow the diet for 10 to 21 days before returning to their typical diet. Generally, people only consume approved foods during the fast. However, proponents of the diet emphasize that it's intended to be a personal devotion to God, so it may look different for each person based on their needs and medical history. Foods to eat. These are the foods that are approved on the Daniel fast. Beans and lentils, all types are permitted. Nuts and seeds, all types are permitted, except those with added salt. Fruits and vegetables, all types are permitted. Oils and fats, only vegetable oils are allowed and only in small amounts, such as to saute vegetables. Olive, avocado, peanut, coconut, grapeseed, canola, walnut, and sesame oil are all approved oils. Whole grains. Amaranth, barley, brown rice, buckwheat, bulgur, freekeh, millet, oats, plain popcorn, quinoa, rye, sorghum, spelt, teff, whole grain, pasta, whole wheat, and wild rice are approved. Unleavened bread, whole grain breads and flatbreads, made without yeast, sugars, or preservatives are permitted. Herbs and spices. All fresh and dried herbs and spices are permitted and encouraged as flavor enhancers, though salt should be used sparingly. Beverages. Water should be your main beverage. Unsweetened plant beverages such as 100% fruit juice are permitted in small amounts. Vitamins and supplements. All are permitted as needed. If you use protein powders, they should be minimally processed and meet the diet's guidelines. Foods to avoid. Meat, poultry, fish, eggs, animal products are not permitted. Dairy products. All dairy should be avoided, including milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream. Added sugar and artificial sweeteners. Table sugar, agave nectar, artificial sweeteners, brown rice syrup, brown sugar, cane juice, corn syrup, honey, malt syrup, molasses, raw sugar, and similar products should be avoided. Yeast. Yeast and leavened bread products are not permitted. Refined grains. White flour and white rice are not permitted. Processed foods. Any food that is heavily processed or contains added colors, flavors, or preservatives should be avoided. Processed foods include chips, candy, chocolate, pre-made meals, takeout, granola bars, and more. Solid fats, butter, ghee, lard, margarine, and shortening should be avoided. Certain beverages, alcohol, coffee, tea, kombucha, soda, sugar-sweetened beverages. Additionally, fermented foods such as vinegar and soy sauce, processed veggie burgers, and tofu are usually avoided. Since the Daniel fast is not a weight loss diet, you are not required to monitor or restrict calories. Instead, you should eat until you feel satisfied, which will look different for each person. However, the diet does suggest that you avoid eating more than you need to feel full and nourished. Potential benefits. There are many potential benefits to the Daniel fast diet. It's high in plant-based foods. The Daniel fast includes an entirely plant-based diet that incorporates vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, beans, and lentils. Numerous studies have shown that a plant-based diet is beneficial to health and may reduce the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, all-cause mortality, certain types of cancers, Alzheimer's, and other neurological disease conditions, and premature aging. In particular, consuming beans on a regular basis is associated with better overall health, especially for improving heart health and supporting a healthy gut. They're high in protein, iron, fiber, complex carbohydrates, zinc, and other beneficial nutrients. I have a deer in the front yard. Interestingly, a 2010 study on the Daniel fast included 44 participants noted a significant decrease in blood pressure and cholesterol after 21 days on the diet. C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker, also decreased, but not to a statistically significant degree. Therefore, diets rich in minimally processed plant foods, such as the diet you follow on Daniel Fast, are great for your health, may promote feelings of fullness and weight loss. Most foods on the diet are high in fiber, which takes longer to digest, helps promote fullness. As a result, you may feel fuller on less food and eat fewer calories. This diet is also low in added sugars and fats, which contribute to a significant number of calories. Therefore, while it is not a weight loss diet, you may lose some weight on the Daniel fast. That said, the diet is intended to be followed for only 10 to 21 days, which isn't enough time for meaningful long-term weight loss. So while you may lose some weight, this diet should not be considered a weight loss method. If you're interested in losing weight, you may want to try applying some principles of the diet, such as upping your intake of fiber-rich foods and limiting added sugars. This can be more sustainable and enjoyable than trying to stick to an entire diet long term. One study observed this pattern among 135 churchgoers who attended weekly nutrition education on the Daniel fast. After 40 days, participants who incorporated healthy eating principles from the diet, such as home-cooked plant-based meals, lost an average of 3.9 pounds. It is inexpensive. Most foods you eat on the Daniel fast are inexpensive and easy to use. It's mostly based on beans and lentils, which are both cheap and convenient foods that can be added to many dishes. Further, the diet does not require any supplements, which can be expensive. That said, buying fresh vegetables and fruit can be costly, especially for large families. Good alternative to purchase frozen vegetables and fruit, which are just as nutritious. I find it interesting. They did say at one point it's inexpensive, then they say it's expensive. So, I'm kind of curious about that. I think they're talking about the idea of having beans as your main source of protein, because beans are pretty much inexpensive. Potential downsides. There are some potential downsides that you need to keep in mind. It is highly restrictive. Although the Daniel fast is intended for short-term observance, it involves a long list of food restrictions that may be hard to sustain. To follow the diet, you must eliminate all animal products, processed foods, added sugars, leavened breads, and many other common foods. For many people, this leaves little room for flexibility and will require a significant amount of meal planning and preparation to follow properly. And that's not for everyone. The main goal of the Daniel fast is to give up indulgent foods as an act of devotion. If you aren't spiritual or don't align with this philosophy, this diet may not be motivating for you. and its overly restrictive nature may lead to feelings of deprivation and a negative relationship with food, especially for those with a history of disordered eating. We'll get into that. Heads up, trying to do it right when it comes to nutrition may feel tempting, but can backfire if you're preoccupied with food or your weight, feel guilt surrounding your food choices, or routinely engage in restrictive diets. Consider reaching out for support. These behaviors may indicate a disordered relationship with food or an eating disorder. Disordered eating and eating disorders can affect anyone, regardless of gender, identity, race, age, socioeconomic status, and other identities. They can be caused by a combination of biological, social, cultural, and environmental factors, not just by exposure to diet culture. Feel empowered to talk with qualified healthcare professionals such as registered dietitian if you are struggling. There's also a chat, call, or text anonymously with trained volunteers at the National Eating Disorders Association helpline for free, or explore the organization's free and low-cost resources. Here's the other thing. You may not meet protein needs. Though you can meet your protein needs, it may be difficult. The diet restricts animal proteins as well as processed plant proteins, like veggie burgers and tofu, which may make it difficult for you to consume enough protein. That's especially likely if you're not used to consuming beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds at most meals. You may be able to use a protein powder provided it meets all the nutrients requirements of the diet. However, some argue that protein powder should be avoided because it is a processed food product. And I will tell you, in most cases, when you are having something like beans and rice, cheese, and it's not allowed on this diet, makes it a complete protein, a complete meal. So there you lead into some problems. Here's the big one. May lead to stomach discomfort. If you're not used to eating a high fiber diet, you may experience stomach discomfort. Most approved food items such as vegetables, fruit, beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds are high in fiber. While fiber is beneficial to your health, too much of it can be difficult to digest, leading to stomach upset, bloating, and in some cases, constipation. If you intend to try it, you may want to slowly introduce high-fiber foods into your diet 3 to 4 weeks before starting it. This may allow your body to adjust and reduce the likelihood of unwanted side effects once the diet begins. Be sure to drink plenty of water, which helps support digestion. Should you try it? The Daniel fast is a short-term diet used as both a diet reset and a form of spiritual devotion. If you are interested in following the Daniel fast as part of your faith, speak with a healthcare professional first to ensure it's right for you nutritionally. In some cases, you may need to take some modifications based on your medical history. Remember that the Daniel fast is not necessary to have good health. You can include components of the diet, such as minimally processed high-fiber foods, while still allowing yourself to eat foods not permitted on the diet. This will allow for more flexibility that may better suit your lifestyle and dietary requirements. Regardless of your reason for starting the diet, you should not follow it for longer than 21 days. Though proponents of the diet suggest it's safe for those who are pregnant, the diet may not provide adequate calories or protein. Therefore, pregnant people should avoid it. Here's the bottom line. Daniel fast is a partial fast based on a story from the biblical book of Daniel. It is a strict vegan diet that prohibits animal products, leavened breads, processed foods, caffeine, and alcohol for 10 to 21 days. Some folks follow the diet as an act of spiritual devotion. It is not intended as a weight loss diet. The diet is not necessary as part of a healthy lifestyle. Instead, you may want to try applying healthy eating principles from the diet, such as eating foods that are high in fiber, plant-based, and minimally processed. If you're interested in following this diet, talk with a healthcare professional before you begin to make sure that it is right for you. Like I said, always consult your healthcare professions before starting any diet or exercise regimen. This one especially. Like I said, I do know a lot of people that do use it just as a reset to help them feel a little more confident in what they're doing, and then to add back in certain foods as they go. So that is it for the Healthier You today. I will see you again another time for another video. And in the meantime, be kind to one another. I'll see you soon. Bye.